Overachievement gets praised like it's this pinnacle of success until you're the one living it and wondering why life feels so heavy. It's because overfunctioning isn't always ambition. Sometimes it's a trauma response. I work with a lot of high performers, executives, leaders, entrepreneurs, and they explain to me how they feel like this is exactly where they work to be. This is exactly where they want it to be. And from the outside, it looks like they've made it. But on the inside, they're struggling with feeling wired, they're reactive, overcommitted, or they are chronically exhausted. And if that's you, you're exactly who I'm talking to today. When you grow up in environments where love, approval, or emotional safety were inconsistent, your nervous system adapted by scanning for ways to stay protected or connected, being helpful and high achieving, always being on. It becomes how you avoid conflict, how you earn closeness, how you make yourself matter. And over time, you accidentally taught your body that effort is safety and rest is risky. Not because rest is dangerous, but because your nervous system somewhere along the way started to link stillness with criticism, disconnection, or unpredictability. And maybe you got snapped at as soon as you let your guard down, or maybe quiet moments in your home were when tension was actually building. Maybe being low maintenance or not needing anything at all meant that you were overlooked, but you were safe. So your body learned, stay busy, stay safe. And that's how pressure starts to feel normal. And stillness, that starts to feel like failure. One of the things people often explain is that when it's time to be off or just to relax, they're out for dinner, they're watching a show, they're just scrolling in bed, they explain things like that they experience when it's time to be relaxing, that their shoulders are tight or their stomach is clenched. They realize that their breathing is shallow, like they never really relax and just breathe in a relaxed way. They explain that they're technically resting, but they're never fully relaxed. I've had clients tell me, even when everything is good, I still feel like I'm bracing for something. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's not a mindset issue. That's a nervous system that never learned to feel safe in stillness. You've accidentally trained your nervous system to stay on high alert, constantly proving your worth or your value. It's the pressure to over-deliver because somewhere along the way, you learned that who you are is not good enough. So your nervous system got brilliant at performing, perfecting, and people-pleasing. Not to thrive, but to feel safe, needed, and secure. Every time you check something off your list, your brain gives you this dopamine hit. The win registers as a reward, whether it's closing a deal, hitting a target, or just simply replying to every email on your list. But like any reward system, your brain adapts and you start needing bigger wins just to feel the same level of satisfaction. It's driven by wins that never feel like they add up. You're always reaching, but never arriving. And rest? Well, it starts to feel like you're missing out on the next hit. Because your system has learned that safety lives in motion and not stillness, you've trained your body to equate stress with success, anxiety with progress. And without realizing it, your nervous system starts to believe that calm equals being unproductive. So what happens when you live in that loop long enough? Your amygdala, the threat detection system in your brain, it gets overactivated and it starts reacting to everyday stressors like they're major threats. And you might, of course, logically understand something like having a couple slides out of order aren't, huge threats to your survival, but your amygdala is sending you into a survival spiral that feels very real. So when you send a typo in an email, your heart races just like you walked into traffic or something, or you accidentally hit reply all and it's some huge catastrophe, or if you get critical feedback, your system spirals into shame and self-doubt, and you're not overreacting, you're neurologically reacting. Meanwhile, your prefrontal cortex, the part that's responsible for logic and planning, decision-making, it is getting exhausted. You overanalyze, you replay the meeting, you second guess your every move, your every word. That's not just mental fatigue, that's your brain's CEO being overworked, undersupported, and stuck in survival mode. And when you're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, creativity, it is almost impossible when you're in that state. And that's why ideas dry up, why your words disappear in meetings, when decisions feel heavier than they should, or even why small decisions can feel impossible to make. It's why you stare at an email draft for half an hour and don't hit send, why you reread performance reviews 5 times, even if they're positive, and why wins feel anticlimactic and at the moment you finish one thing, you're right away looking for what you need to do next, because your nervous system doesn't register stillness as safety. It keeps you on alert, searching for the next problem to solve or way to prove your worth. Think of your brain as an interpreter, analyzing, labeling, and making meaning for your experiences. It's responsible for planning, decision-making, and navigating the world, but your heart is the messenger, carrying the deeper intelligence of your body, your emotions, and your truth right up to your brain. And when you're regulated, your heart signals are steady and they're coherent, and your brain can read those signals clearly and everything flows. Your thoughts, your focus, your sense of direction. But under stress, those signals get scrambled. Your heart rhythms become chaotic, sending disordered information to your brain. And your brain, no matter how brilliant you are, starts operating from confusion, doubt, or defense. And that's why even the most capable people feel foggy, indecisive, or they're reactive. Not because they're broken, but because their internal communication system is out of sync. The clarity is there, it's just buried under noise. That's what most people don't realize. The body registers safety or threat before your brain can ever put words to it. Your heart rate shifts, your gut clenches, your breath becomes shallow. That all happens without a single conscious thought registering. Your body is your early warning system, and your mind just writes the subtitles, which means your thinking is only as clear as your signal. When you're regulated, your inner communication system is clear. Your heart sends steady messages that are going to guide you where you want to go. Your gut offers instinctual cues that you can trust. And your brain can interpret all of this with accuracy, so you respond with clarity and confidence and presence. This state is called heart-brain incoherence. Research has been clear. These incoherent rhythms disrupt the prefrontal cortex, and they impair decision-making, focus, and emotional regulation. And this is why another life hack, productivity tool, or leadership seminar won't fix this. Most high performers have already tried all of that. What they're missing isn't knowledge. What they're missing is the ability to train the nervous system to feel safe. The real problem isn't a skill gap, it's a signal gap. Fear is making all the decisions, it's running the show. Your nervous system is stuck chasing safety through productivity. And this isn't something you push through. It's not something that you can white knuckle your way through. It's something you have to rewire. So the good news is that you can retrain your nervous system, and you can do it without ever losing your edge. Neuroscience shows us that tools like breathwork, meditation, and visualization can regulate your baseline state. That baseline that I was talking about, that hypervigilance. The breath work and the meditation, it needs to be strategic and aimed at regulating your system, creating coherence, etc. But you can calm the amygdala, restore heart-brain coherence, which allows your prefrontal cortex to again take the lead. And this isn't about, being calm all the time. It's about building the capacity to make the shift from survival to safety, from pressure to presence, to you stop striving from a place of fear, and you start creating from this place of alignment. You stop reacting, you start responding. You become more effective because you're finally working with your nervous system and not against it. So what does this shift look like in real life? What does regulation actually feel like? It looks like or feels like waking up feeling clear and you're not chaotic. You don't feel like you're scrambling. You make decisions without spiraling. You respond instead of over-explaining. You rest without guilt. You feel your intuition come back online. You honor your no without a PowerPoint of reasons. You stop white-knuckling your way through leadership. You stop trying to prove your worth through output. And you start feeling like yourself again. Let me give you an example. The other day I was working with a woman who holds, a major leadership role in a company that she now partly owns. And her life looks like the dream, the house, the cars, the multiple properties, vacations, beautiful vacations. She genuinely loves her work, and she doesn't mind bringing her laptop, with her on trips. She feels proud of what she's built and the example that she's setting for her kids. But then she said something the other day that's always a red flag. She said, I go, 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 and it never adds up. She wasn't talking about missing bath time or struggling with work-life balance. She meant something, much deeper. When am I actually going to be happy? She told me, I feel wired a lot. I'm overwhelmed, but I don't want to stop. I get irritable by how much is on my plate, but I also get annoyed when things aren't done the way I want them, so I just do them. She explained to me, even when her daughter is talking to her, and she says, I like my daughter. She's smart, she's funny, and I care what she's talking about. But I cannot focus on what she's saying for too long. I can't seem to be in the moment. That's not a failure of mindset. That's a nervous system pattern. That's what happens when your body has learned that stillness isn't safe. The truth is your nervous system is brilliant. It learned how to protect you. It learned how to perform and produce and persevere, even when rest didn't feel safe. But now, what once got you recognition is keeping you on edge, and what once earned you connection is costing you presence, and what once looked like strength is starting to feel a lot like strain. This isn't a mindset issue. It's not a productivity problem. It's a regulation issue. You weren't meant to overfunction your way into worth. You were meant to lead from a place of calm, from regulation, from self-trust, and from alignment. Healing isn't about doing more. It's about remembering you're already enough. And this can especially be realized and practiced when you're still. If you want to know more about, what I talked about today, go to brandyrajan.com. There's a blog titled The Neuroscience of High Achievers, and you can delve into this more there. And good luck.